Hello everyone and welcome to IELTS Time. I'm Archer and today we're diving into a really common topic for part one of the speaking test, hobbies. It might seem simple, but it's a fantastic opportunity to show the examiner your natural speaking ability and range of vocabulary. To get us started, we're going to listen to a short dialogue featuring Joseph answering some typical part one questions about his hobbies. Pay attention to how he structures his answers, the vocabulary he uses, and how naturally he speaks. After we listen in, we'll explore some general strategies and different ways you can approach this topic, no matter what your interests are. So, let's tune in to Joseph now.
Do you have any hobbies?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have a few hobbies that keep me busy. For one, I'm really into photography. I love capturing interesting scenes and trying to see things from a different angle. I'm also learning to play the guitar, which is challenging but really rewarding when you finally get a song right. Plus, I'm a big fan of trying out new foods and exploring different restaurants and cafes, so taking photos, strumming some chords, and discovering tasty eats are my go-to things.
Did you have any hobbies when you were a child?
Totally. When I was a kid, I was really into collecting things. For a while, it was all about trading cards, you know, the ones with different characters and stats. I also went through a phase where I collected colorful erasers in all sorts of weird shapes. And like pretty much every kid, I was obsessed with building things with Legos. I could spend hours creating all sorts of imaginary worlds. Those were simpler times for sure.
Do you have a hobby that you've had since childhood?
That's a good question. Thinking about it, I'd say my love for drawing has definitely stuck with me since I was a kid. Back then, it was mostly just doodles of cartoons and animals, and honestly, they probably weren't very good, but I always found it really relaxing to just sit down with some paper and pencils and let my imagination wander. Even now, though I don't do it as often with school and everything, I still enjoy sketching or even just doodling in my notebook when I have some free time. It's like a little piece of my childhood that I've carried with me.
Do you have the same hobbies as your family members?
That's interesting to think about. I wouldn't say we have exactly the same hobbies, but there's definitely some overlap. For example, my dad is really into hiking, and while I don't go as often as he does, I do enjoy a good hike in nature every now and then. My younger sister is super creative and loves to paint, and I've definitely picked up some of that interest, although my artistic focus is more on photography these days, so it's not identical, but we definitely share a general appreciation for being outdoors and doing creative things. It's cool how those interests can kind of run in the family, even if they manifest in slightly different ways.
Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to stay focused on hobbies in part one, and we're focusing on 4 common questions, which you've already heard, and I want to show you how you can craft your responses with control. I'm going to walk through each question. For each question, I'm going to remind you what the question is, explain the strategy, and show you example sentences you can use. Ready? Question 1. Do you have any hobbies? This question looks easy, but because it looks easy, candidates often give answers that are too short. For example, some people just say, I like music. That is not enough. You need to show a little weight. So here is the strategy. Answer the question, give one example, and then say why. For example, you could say, yes, I do. I'm really into playing the piano. I find it incredibly relaxing, and it's a great way to express myself creatively. Or if you have more than one hobby, you could say, yes, I have a couple. I enjoy hiking in the mountains near my home because it's so refreshing, and I also like reading fiction. Both activities really help me unwind, so the key is simple. Name your hobby and give one small reason. Question 2. Did you have any hobbies when you were a child? This is your chance to use past tense naturally. Don't just name a hobby, give a small detail. Create a visual moment. For example, you could say, definitely. When I was younger, I was fascinated by building model airplanes. I would spend hours carefully putting all the pieces together. It really taught me patience. Or you could say, yes, I remember being really keen on collecting colourful stones. I had a whole box of them, and each one had a little story of where I found it. So this question is not just about what hobby, it's about showing a little memory from your childhood. Question 3. Do you have a hobby that you've had since childhood? Here, the examiner wants to hear if there is a link between your past and your present. If you do have a hobby that has continued, say so. If you don't, that is totally fine. Just be honest and say when your current hobby started. For example, you could say, yes, actually. I've been drawing ever since I was a little kid. When I was younger, it was mostly cartoon characters, but now it's more realistic sketches. Drawing has always been my creative outlet. Or you could say, not really. Most of my current hobbies, like photography, are things I discovered in my teenage years. That is perfectly acceptable. Question 4. Do you have the same hobbies as your family members? This question is about comparison. Just say, are they similar or not similar? Then add one small example. For example, you could say, my father is really into fishing. I've tried it a few times, but it's not really my thing. However, my sister and I both enjoy watching movies together. Or you could say, yes, actually. My whole family loves hiking. We try to go at least once a month. It's our favourite way to spend time outdoors together. Or you could say, not really. My hobbies are quite different from my family. I prefer solo activities like reading or gaming, while they prefer team sports. Both styles, similar or different, are valid answers. That brings us to the end of the 4 common hobby questions. And I want you to notice something very clearly now. The structure is simple. You answer the question directly, and then you add one small extra piece of information to develop it. That extra piece could be a reason or a little detail, or a short memory, or a comparison. It doesn't have to be long. It just needs to sound natural. So here is your practice task. Write your own answers to these 4 questions. Keep each answer around 3 sentences, and then say them out loud. If you rehearse this topic 2 or 3 times before your test, your answers on this topic will feel more automatic and natural when the examiner asks you about hobbies. And remember, you can use this same structure for most other common Part 1 topics as well. Alright, that's it for today's lesson. Thanks so much for watching and practicing with me. If you want to build the same level of control across the whole speaking test, make sure you also check out our other speaking videos where we go into different topics and different parts of the exam. Keep your answers clear and naturally developed, and I'll see you in the next lesson.